My name's Steve. Hi guys. This presentation is going to be a little bit different to any other GCAP presentation you've ever seen because I really like games. So we're going to play some games today. We're going to take you through a few of the things that we've done at Foxie over the last couple of years. Start things out though, story time. That's always a good way to start. So a little bit of background. Our company, we have 22 people in-house. That's my focus, is the in-house people. We have another 5 people full-time, external, around Australia, overseas. And then we have a whole bunch of contractors that are all over the world as well. So my focus is the people that we interact with on a day-to-day basis. I've got 2 roles. I'm the product manager, so I'm focused on giving value to the customers who are our free-to-play mobile people. And then as general manager, I'm focused on how do I give value to our staff? What can I do to help our staff? Now, we're going to go through it a little bit later, but to give you a bit of a framework, I care a lot about my staff. I care a little bit too much, and we'll go into some of the issues that are there. So come with me back to 2022. I've been at the company for a couple of years, and I'm sitting in a meeting, a one-on-one meeting with one of our employees, and an employee that I consider a friend, and he said to me, "Steve, I've got to let you know, I've put in my resignation." And externally, I was very professional. Externally, I looked at him and I said, "Wow, that sucks for us, but good for you. Can you tell me more about this, opportunity you've got?" And, finished out the interview. Internally, it was more like this. Freaking out. It wasn't just one employee. In 2 months, one after the other, we lost 4 employees. We lost 3 people from one programming team, the whole team, including the lead. I watched people with years and years of industry-specific knowledge, our game-specific knowledge, walk out the door. As a manager, I was freaking out. I tell you, I was beyond myself. I just didn't know what to do. Thankfully, my boss is a very different personality type, and he was just, no, we got this. We'll take care of this. We rearranged some people internally. We covered that group. It kind of worked out. But in terms of productivity, there was a big dip, right? There was a massive dip in getting releases out, getting features out, as we took people who are graduates, put them into this project, then had to start from the bottom and train them up again. Now, I don't know how you guys are finding hiring people, but certainly in free-to-play mobile space, there are not many developers who have specific industry experience. We find it really hard to hire devs that have 3 or 4 years experience, and in our little segment of the industry, most people don't stay even in the entire industry for more than 5 years. They're normally gone within 3 years. So for us to go out and find people that have 2 to 3 years actual experience, it's really hard. 2 to 3 years with actual experience in the way Foxie Games makes games, that's even harder. So there was a real problem. So we had a challenge. How do we retain our key talent, right? We all know that there's financial and productivity things with losing talent. But for us, how are we going to hold on to our talent so that those key people, those people with the industry-specific knowledge, are staying in our organization? The answer, we built the dream workplace. Now, in my mind, that's what it looks like. I'm like, yeah, everyone's having a party every day, but that's not quite what we were after. So there are a few solutions we couldn't use. We couldn't just throw copious amounts of money at people. Well, when you talk to startups, they consider us to be a big team. We're not. When we talk to the big groups, we're a very small team. But we can't compete with some of those major people in terms of money. We couldn't move to a 4-day work week. I liked the idea of this one. Some of the other studios have tried it. I got a hard no on that. And we weren't hiring more people. The general consensus is there's a few roles at Foxie that we would love to fill, but that wasn't going to happen, certainly not in that specific answer to that. We hired a bunch of people to replace the ones that had left, and we were in an exponential growth sort of phase. But with all these people leaving in such a short amount of time, we need to just stabilize things. So we had to come up with a strategy of how are we going, what points of difference could we do in our specific situation to combat the grass being greener on the other side. Like I speak to these, I'm still friends with the ones that have left, right? I'd ask them, why did you leave Foxie? And they all have different reasons. They didn't get together and collude and say, hey, let's really stick it to Steve by quitting one after the other, right? Like we're still friends, but why did they leave? There were better opportunities, a better culture, a better workplace elsewhere. So today, I'm gonna run through play by play some of the considerations that we put into Foxie for why we do what we do and how we do what we do. So to start off with, I've got 2 pieces of kind of theory, and then we're going to mix things up quite a bit, and we're going to run through a lot of the practical step by step. Cool? So my first point is, if you are in any sort of leadership role, you need to know yourself, and then you need to know your team, right? Now, how you know yourself, there's a whole bunch of different frameworks. I like this one because it's really simple, and I like simple things, and I can remember it. So, people, generally speaking, sit on this axis. You got people who are quite people-orientated out there, people who are task-orientated over here, and the fact of the matter is we're all somewhere along there, and we're all a mixture, and it depends on what the situation is and the circumstances are as to how you're there. We also have people who are quite introverted, right up to people who are quite extroverted. And again, depending on your situation and where you are, where you fit on that axis is going to change on a day-to-day basis. But your default temperament is going to match where you are when you are comfortable, right? Now, introverted, just quickly, does not mean that you are antisocial. You can have people who are very social, enjoy company, very friendly, but when they hit their limit, like at the end of 3 days of GCAP, right? They just need to withdraw into themselves and read a book and have some quiet time, and then they're ready to step forward into packs, right? Some people are like that. Extroverted people get to the end of GCAP and they're like, wow, that was great. Who wants to go out for a beer tomorrow? And I'm going to go to Parallels and all these other things. And they just want to keep going and going because they get energized by other people. Now, I'm not going to spend too long on this, but the people who are people-orientated and extroverted, we call them sanguine. People who are extroverted and task-orientated, we call choleric. People who are people-orientated and introverted are phlegmatic. People who are introverted and task-orientated are melancholic. Now, there's heaps of papers and stuff on this. I found this life-changing when someone explained to me this and how it worked. So sanguine people and choleric people, they get along well because they're very people-orientated, right? Choleric people who are very extroverted. Choleric people who are quite task-orientated, they plow through things. Sometimes they make really good leaders because they're a steamroller and you're just like plowing through things. The sanguine person is running along behind that leader going, woo, I'm along for the ride, right? They're kind of party people, right? Phlegmatic people, introverted, but still people. Wonderful, caring people who are really good at just being steady in your workplace and getting the job done. Very, very reliable. Melancholic people are a little bit they are introverted and task-orientated. And these people sometimes might seem that they're not happy, but they're actually happy in themselves. They're very well centered in terms of what goes on, super logical, really, really logical, great business people. Now, sanguines and cholerics are both extroverts, so they get along well. Sanguine and phlegmatic are people-orientated, so they get along well. The introverts get along well because, they don't talk to each other. And the choleric and melancholics get along well because at least they get the task done. Where you start to find conflict, though, is when you get a sanguine person who just wants to jibber-jab the whole day long. Guess which one I am. And you have a melancholic person who's very task-orientated and just wants to head down and get the job done. Interestingly enough, my boss is melancholic. Hey, wasn't that fun for the first 12 months trying to figure out what was going on? My boss is melancholic. A lot of programmers are melancholic. It works. Maths, get the job done, plow through. You also find that choleric people and phlegmatic people often have trouble seeing eye to eye because the choleric people tend to be very candid and they say things as they are, and that is very difficult for a more sensitive person, right? Now, that can cause issues. This can cause issues. But how you understand who you are and how you understand what your team is can determine how you speak to them and how you call them forward and how you get the best out of their team. So set them up for success, right? Give them things that suit their temperament and don't put them in situations that are going to cause that sort of conflict. My boss gives me to do all the social stuff. I'm like, yes, bring it on, planning things and organising tasks. He says things like, Steve, I want you to look after, there we go, people person, I want you to look after each of our team leads. I'm like, so there, you had me at looking after people. I'm there, I am a resource that they can use. If I support the team leads, they support the workers, they support the customers, right? It's a really good model. Meanwhile, my boss is free to go and look at product-specific things, data analysis, user acquisition, all of the things that are his thing that he loves. Smart guy, super brilliant, mad respect for him. He's got someone to be the people person. We'll just say it like that. Cool. Second piece of theory is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We start at the bottom and the base. I hope everyone has seen this, but very quickly, you start with those absolutely essential things. So physiological needs at the bottom, safety needs, love and belonging, esteem needs, and self-actualization. Now, Maslow's theory, and what this is all based on, he said he doesn't expect anyone to live 100% of the time right up there at self-actualization. Self-actualization is just something that happens through your life. Every now and again, things fall into place, and you're like, yes, this is, boom, this is one of those moments. So I took that theory, and I made up the hierarchy of game dev needs. We need space to work. We need a safe workplace. We need to look at our team culture, because in 2022, it was okay, wasn't great. Appreciation, and then being in the zone, right? So your team, when they are just pumping through work and everyone feels like they are contributing and the system is just working well, and you're like, wow, look at the productivity that's going on here, and everyone is content. If not content, they're actively happy. Cool. So, with that as a backdrop, we didn't sit down and go, oh, this is the hierarchy of needs, what can we do at Foxie? But it did, as I was preparing the presentation, it became a really good place to structure the rest of the presentation. So, it is like 3 o'clock, afternoon, day 2 of GCAP, time to get some game on. All right, so as you walked in, you got a little bingo card, right? The way the next section is going to be is I'm going to run through practically what did we do at Foxie Games, and the logical way of doing things would be to do it in chronological order, but I didn't take enough notes during this period, so I don't know what happened when, and this will be way more fun. So, what's going to happen is throughout the next set of slides, you'll see little numbers like this down the bottom, and when that pops up, mark off on your bingo card. When you filled in all 6, stand up and scream really loud, bingo. So loud that it wakes everyone up, all right? And even if that's in the middle of me making a critical point, right? Stand up, scream it out. Now, if I just ran through the next few slides normally, that wouldn't be very game-like, would it? So instead, I've got some balloons down here, and I'm going to get people to come down, pop a balloon, and that's going to tell us which section we're going to jump to, right? So my slide is now a mix of random things and some improv. So shall we give it a crack? All right, cool. When someone pops a balloon, cheer and clap, right? Cool. So can I have a volunteer to come down and pop the first balloon? Come on, Jackson. Come on, pop a balloon. Woo! Woo! Thank you, Jackson. So we have letter D. There we go. Woo! Ah, great place to start. We introduced social nights. Throughout this afternoon, we're going to talk about some things that cost money, assuming that you've had have a budget for these things. There's also going to be some things that are free. So my boss asked me to organise some social nights. So we take them out for meals, we go bowling, as Dom, yay, he's a legend, play some games, right? Now this is absolutely a time when we down tools and we head out and we have some fun. This gets conversations going that you will not get in the workplace. It is purely trying to foster the team environment. Another time we went to Lost Dice, a great little board game place in Adelaide. So I should have pointed out. Number 6, people got number 6? Mark that one off. Next one is birthdays. We don't celebrate every birthday, but every now and again, I will just start singing happy birthday and I'll walk into the office with something like this. We all stop, we have a chat, have a laugh, eat some donuts. That platter costs probably 20, 25 bucks. It's enough of nibbles for like 20 people, right? That is as cheap as Coles mud cake in the middle. Sometimes, if it's the birthday person is like egg-free or something, we'll get a fancy cake. But generally, I nip down to Coles, I buy some stuff, I whack it on a platter. You can learn how to do that from YouTube, right? So we go everything from low-budget birthdays through to number 5, for those keeping track. We go from everything from birthdays to our Christmas party. Now this I am actually given a decent budget for, and my boss one year said to me, hey, there's this catamaran we can hire down at Glenelg. Let's all jump on that and we'll go out for like a 2-hour cruise. And it was awesome. So we had Subway, keep the costs down because we're paying for a catamaran. We had Subways, we had snacks, we had drinks, all that sort of stuff, and we went on a cruise. Another year, Christmas, we did the games room, those sort of escape rooms. Good fun. And I try and find something weird, really novelty, in terms of a gift that we can give people. So this year I found some socks on AliExpress that were vaguely like our mascot, and everyone got Foxie socks for Christmas with some, candy canes and bits and pieces. Another year I hid Nerf guns under everyone's desk, and we just walked in playing Christmas songs, and then everyone looked under their desk, got Nerf guns, and they all shot each other, right? Totally ruins productivity, totally increases the vibe and the sense of fun in a games company. We work in the games industry. It should be fun. Cool. So where does that fit in this hierarchy of needs? If anyone missed those numbers, they were 6, 7, and 5. I put this one solely in appreciation. When it comes to Christmas and your devs and your team have been hitting goals and working really hard throughout the whole year, spoil them. Go nuts. Do something nice for them. Appreciation goes a long way. Cool. Volunteer time. Drew. I met Drew today, so thanks, Drew. Come and pop a balloon. And then call out whatever the letter is. Hey. Woo! Hey. Nice. There was not, COVID was tough, right? There was not a lot of great stuff that came out of COVID. For our company, one of the things that was really good was we got to the end and my boss said, Steve, I really like working from home a few days a week. We struggled with the way the meetings and things over Zoom and that, it's just hard and no one wants that. So what he proposed is we go with office days are Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and home days are Tuesday and Thursday. And that split works really well for us. Because if I'm organising brainstorming sessions or one-on-ones, I do it on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then on those Tuesday and the Thursdays, people tend to head down and plough through the work, right? And it's a really good balance. I would put that in safe workplace. It's actually really good for your mental well-being and that sort of stuff to have the hybrid work. If you can do it, thoroughly recommend it. Along with that, this is not something that was introduced, this was there long before me, but another factor to that is flexible work hours. If you're paying a developer to work 37.5 hours a week, does it really matter what hours they rock up to the office? Of course it matters if you've got like stand-ups and you've got meetings and those sorts of things, but outside of that, we are super flexible. So a couple of our team guys are learning to drive. So they're like, I need an extra long lunch hour because I'm gonna go and have a driving lesson. And we're like, yep, no worries. It's not even like, may I please have it? It's just politely letting their line manager or letting someone know I'll be out of the office for a bit. It's go for it. It's really, really nice having worked in other places. Flexible work hours, and it's pretty much just make up your 37.5 hours by the end of the week. Really, really powerful, doesn't cost you a cent. So I would put that in appreciation as well. It's about trusting your employees. And if your employees are a little bit dodgy, you might need to think about getting better employees, right? Cool, that was a quick one, which is good because we've got to keep cranking. All right, volunteer to pop a balloon. Excellent, thank you. Woo! Woo! What have we got? F. Oh. All right, so I'm going to be a little bit careful as we go through the next few slides because this is being recorded. When I joined, this was our logo, and I quite like this logo, and it's good, and it suited a startup, and it suited us when we got going. Unfortunately, one day I found that someone else was using our logo on something or other else, and my boss kind of said to me, well, actually they're allowed to because it's clip art. So not a great way of designing a logo. We then moved on to this one. Yeah, have a chat to me offline about my opinions of this one. It's really hard to work with. It breaks so many graphic design rules. And when we launched it, we got mugs done and we got various things. And you can kind of read the room that people were excited to have something that was different, but no one really believed in it enough to get behind it. I didn't actually want t-shirts with that logo on it, partly because of the way it was handled at the time, right? Then we got this one. Like, how much nicer is that? This one was actually designed by our UI artist, who we happened to hire in 2022. She was moving from an allied industry. She was a graphic designer. She moved into UI. I knew her from previous business, and she's outstanding, right? So suddenly we had a logo that is fun, is kind of like quirky, but yet it's still professional. We had a style guide. Whoa, how professional is that? Had a style guide. We had different versions for different applications, and I was excited. The team were excited, and we got t-shirts. So every startup knows that one of the best ways that you can get your team to feel like a team is give them t-shirts. It's pretty low cost and it's well worth it. It took me 4.5 years to get t-shirts into Foxie, but it was a lot of fun. And now when we walk around to places or we go to Unwind or those sorts of things, it's like, hey, I'm here and I work for Foxie. Someone can walk up and say hello and have a chat, right? It's a really good advertising. Cool, so I put that squarely in team culture. If your logo is something that your team can rally behind, that can represent your business and the culture and the way that you do business, then bang on. Worth its weight in gold. Cool. We have 4 more balloons. Can we have another volunteer, please? Come on, Nick. Thanks, Aidan. Yeah. Woo! Woo! All right, G. Excellent. Good choice. So we have stand-ups every morning, and I totally stole this from a friend who works in a WordPress company. And he said to me one day that on a Friday, he forces everyone in his team to come up with a win of the week. I was like, oh, I don't know if my team would be comfortable with that. The more we talked, the more I thought, actually, no, this is really positive. So if you introduce this win of the week, as you're doing the stand-up, they just have to say something that they're proud of. Now, forcing people who are introverted and forcing people who are programmers and that sort of space to come up with something that they achieved means they've got to recall, what did I do this week? And then something that they're happy with or they're proud of. And it's actually really good. Now, they will roll their eyes when you introduce this, and they will kind of give you a bit of a ribbing and whatever. But once you get into it, some of the stuff that comes out in Win of the Week is actually gold, right? Now, some people just go, oh, I'm alive, you know, and like, well, if you're sick with pneumonia earlier in the week and that's the best you can do, sure, I'll take it. But other people do things like, one of our mid-level devs, he was like super excited. He's like, I introduced hidden maps into one of our games, and we didn't really announce it. We just had these treasure maps around the place. And then I checked the next day, and 1,000 people had found those treasure maps, followed it, and got the treasure. And he was pumped. And I was like, that, boom, right there, that is in the zone. We can put the arrow up there. That is in the zone, right? This is an opportunity for people to recall what are you proud of, what's worked really well for you this week, and to force you to go, mentally something happened. Also in those Win of the Weeks, we actually get to hear a whole lot of personal achievements, like I passed my driver's test, I bought a house, I got engaged, all of these sorts of things in that little community where we actually congratulate one another and we're lifting one another up. Hand in hand with that, we have Feedback Fridays. So if Win of the Week is me thinking about what I've done and what I'm proud of, Feedback Friday is a great opportunity for me to say what I've seen and for people to say what they've seen in other departments, other teams, and say, wow, you did really well. So we have programmers who will put in Slack and they'll say, hey, congratulations, that UI that you built, it was really good, it hit the mark, and it was so easy to implement. Thank you for going to the extra effort of doing the style guides and all those sorts of things. So suddenly you start to get appreciation and you're fostering appreciation between team to team. And people, it's nice. I mean, it's kind of artificial because we're saying it's Feedback Friday and trying to get everyone to do it. But giving people who sometimes don't say much at all an opportunity to voice something like that can be quite powerful in your organization. So recommend that. There are tools to help you with Feedback Friday. I'm not mentioning it by name, and you can chat to me afterwards about my hesitation for mentioning that particular service. I totally put that down as appreciation. Wherever you can foster appreciation, that would help. All right. Volunteer. Thank you. Come. You might need to run down. Woo! Woo! Yeah! This one here. B. Cool. Nice. Nice. So when I started with Foxie, there was a very flat, very level kind of structure to it. And the people there were very, very happy with that. It worked really well. Everyone had a voice, or everyone had an opportunity to say something. But in the next couple of years that came, I kind of noticed that it wasn't as flat as we claimed it was, right? And neither should it be. If you have a grad who's just come from university and they're suggesting a method of programming, and you have an industry veteran saying, actually, I think there's a better way of doing that, surely there's more weight that sits with the industry veteran. But what we were finding, and particularly with those people that left, is there was a bit of confusion as to, well, I've been here for a few years, am I still a junior? Or am I now a mid? Or am I senior? Everyone else in the industry is talking about these terms, and yet we're not talking about these terms. So people aren't sure where they fit in the organisation. So we spent a fair bit of time reworking our business model in terms of what did it look like and what did we expect from a junior developer? What does it look like and what are we expecting from a mid-level? What are we expecting from a senior level? And that gave clarity that we didn't have before. We did that for designers, did it for programmers, did it for the art team, did it for every channel. We laid it all out, and then on a one-on-one session, I explained it to people and said, you are currently here. This is what's expected for you for the next level. How are we going to get you there as fast as you are happy to, put the work in, right? No, let's come back to this one. How are we going to get you there? Now, if we have clear direction about where you're going to get there far, far better. And people know, right, if I want to move from junior to mid, we made it super clear that, it's roughly however many years we expect that to take. Made it super clear that it wasn't about the years, it was about your specific contributions in your team, right? And then on top of that, when we started to discuss that, we would start to look for ways for them to stretch beyond their, level so that we could level them up fast. So that is in appreciation, the esteem needs. Knowing that you are a mid-level or knowing that you are a senior dev gave some people more of a voice in meetings as well. And they felt confident to say, hey, in terms of what the boss thinks I am, this is where I am. And they could step up to that. Helped a lot. In connection with that, we also started coaching. So how is it that we take people who have just come into Foxie, how do we pair them with mentors so that we can accelerate them from the junior to the mid role and then the mid to the senior? And part of that coaching was figuring out, knowing our team and knowing ourselves, right? Knowing the team, that we have one guy who loves back end. So what do? We give him lots of back end, and every now and again, we give him some front end stuff, and he complains, and we have a bit of a laugh, and he does that too. We have another guy who started about the same time, loves front end, really, really good at gameplay design and all sorts of stuff. So we give him lots of that sort of work, because we know who they are, and we know what they like, and we work them through with coaching and mentorship. Another aspect of leveling people up, number 20, by the way. Has anyone got bingo and you're just too polite to scream? Okay. Another one is burst talks. Again, this was there long before I started at Foxie, but every once in a while, whenever I can convince someone to do one, we do like a half-hour session where they're sharing their knowledge. We get everyone, the whole company, even if the burst talk is all about programming, get the whole company, you got the UI guys, you got the art people, everyone in the same room to share some aspect of their job. I'm super loose with what that is because I want exposure for everyone else to go, oh, I didn't realize that UI was as technical as what it is, because they've been educated a little bit. That helps with teams to appreciate one another across the board, and there's a bit of education there as well. I'd put that in team culture. Now, I said earlier, it's not all about the giant salary, but you do need to make sure that your salary that you're paying your employees is industry standard, right? Smaller companies like ours can't really compete with some of the mega corporations, but we need to make sure that the salary is enough that people are, having their needs met, and it's an industry standard appropriate for the amount of work that they are doing. I put that in physiological needs. It's kind of space to work, but it's also head space to work, right? If you can't pay the rent, how's your productivity going to be at work? Pretty poor. Cool, we have 2 balloons left. Can I point to a volunteer? Can you pop one? Thank you. Woo! Yay! C. All right. Nice. So this is a photo. Oh! Woo! Congratulations! Woo! Woo, woo. Thank you. Yes. Way more exciting than this slide. All right, so this is our old office. This is where we were when I first started. We're in an awesome co-working space, Game Plus. Many of you guys are in Game Plus studios and things as well. But we had exploded. We had gone year on year, just getting more and more people. They actually knocked down some walls for us and reconfigured a few offices to try and cobble it together. And these photos were on our website, so they're trying to make it look better than it actually is. But like in between the desks, like it was really hard to have meetings, and if one person turned around, you couldn't actually get past. It was pretty cramped. We had one of our projects like slightly around the corner, sort of like separated from the others, and the UI guy, it was fine. It was not good, it was fine, it was okay. And then we moved into a space that was, I think, almost double the square meterage. Also in Game Plus, you know, they fitted it out for us. They looked after us really well. Thank you, Game Plus. And we have room to walk. We have room to move. We can actually hold informal meetings. There's a couple of smaller rooms we could go. If you have a mobile phone, you know, conversation, you can just go and chat there. I work in that same space. My boss works in that same space. We don't have an open door policy because there is no door. Like literally people just walk up to our desk and say, hey, I need help with this or that. It gave us room to breathe. It gave us room to think. It gave us room to just be more creative. And as people started coming in, I mean, it was all hype at the first, right? Yay, new office. But in the next 6 months that came after that, the reality of what we were putting up with before started to dawn on me, and I was like, oh, this actually has made a far bigger impact than I thought it was going to be. So I had space to work, right? You know, decent sized desk, let people put their toys out and cups of tea and various other things, right? Also, you could have knocked me over with a feather one day because my boss says, hey, we've got this room down the end. I really wanted a boardroom table down there. Do you reckon we could get a pool table instead? I'm like, heck yes, we can. The pool table came with like a board on the top to also turn it into a table tennis table, and on the other side was like a poker table, and we're like, yeah, when we're having like team meetings, we'll lay this out and we can all sit around and do productive stuff. No, we've never used it. We've used it as a table tennis table, but not often as a board meeting table. I'm going to speed things up. Team culture, this hands down has been the best dollar for dollar investment in terms of people staying around after work and shooting pool, lunch before work. It's always a game going. Chat to me more about that later because I'm going to keep moving so that we don't miss out on things. We also do geeky things with the pool table, right? You know, so this is flick 'em up. We play board games and use it for other bits and pieces. Culture-wise, it's been fantastic. And you know your culture is changing when the people who are not good at pool kind of stand around the edge and one of the total pool sharks goes, right, you and me, we're pairing up. And boom, he's gathered in to the game and they rearrange the game to make it fit. And you're like, I didn't tap him on the shoulder, hey, you should go with Bob. You know, like this is just what's happening in our organization. Sweet. The other thing my boss said to me, he said, Steve, I want you to go and make a snack table and fill this drinks fridge. Know your team. I know my team drink Coke Zero, but some of them drink these other things. So keep an eye on the snack table and work out what people eat. Every now and again, I buy fruit and vegetables. Anyway, but chocolates and 2-minute noodles. 2-minute noodles are comfort food for a lot of game devs, right? So if you forget your lunch, there is lunch there. Come eat as much as you want. Actual dollar for dollar doesn't cost us much at all. The cost to the company when you're buying 30 pack of Coke is less than $1 a can. The value to an employee is that they haven't bought this from the lunch shop where it's $3 to $4 a can, right? So low cost, high value. Love that stuff. I put that in between. I couldn't find team culture or appreciation. It's kind of a mix of both. Finally, in terms of space, get some plants. Thoroughly recommend it. Space to work. We've only got one left, so I'm just going to pop it for time. Woo. E. Cool. So I said we had daily stand-ups. One thing we introduced was monthly or thereabouts. We did a whole company stand-up. And this is where the leads from each of our projects brag about what's been going on in their team. Some shout-outs to people that have done outstanding work. I put that in team culture. It's been really good. Again, it's giving a voice to people who may not necessarily say, this is amazing, but they can speak up here because it's like, hey, you know, what's your team been doing? Another thing we looked at were our core values. I am speeding through, so chat to me afterwards. Core values defines who we are, and then we communicated that to the team. So one of our core values is we want people to work at a brisk, steady pace, no crunch. Right? No crunch at Foxie Games. Crunch is bad. We want you to go home at 5:30. That helps with burnout. That helps with consistency. Productivity at the end of 6 months would be roughly the same, but no one's had a mental breakdown. That sounds really good in the games industry. So we had core values. We defined them, which is team culture. And then to reinforce that, we started giving awards for people that showed outstanding examples of those different values. Huh? Bingo. You get a keychain afterwards. Woo. The other thing that we were going for was we're trying to retain employees, keep them here. 5 years in the mobile dev is actually quite a thing. So we started giving them groovy awards and presents. And my boss gives me a budget to go out and buy a present because I know my team, I buy very specific things for them. The more specific the gift, the more meaningful it is when they receive it. That is in appreciation. Cool. I think we've popped all the balloons and I'm almost out of time. So, know yourself, know your team. These are all the things that we did. I can give you a copy of this slide. They are separated into the team culture and into the appreciation. All the things in green cost you nothing. They cost you your time and effort. But if you're a small studio and you're not sure where to start, I'd start with Win of the Week and Feedback Fridays because they're the easiest to implement. Don't do it all at once, right? You will go crazy, and don't consistently do it. Like you don't do these things every week. We take them out for social nights once a quarter, right? Christmas only happens at Christmas. That one's easy. If you had to ask me which one had the biggest impact in our employees, I would say clear roles and the job progression. People want to feel like they are progressing in their career, and people want to feel like they are respected for the amount of work and their value to the company. It was also probably the hardest one for management to get together, right? Cool, so what's the result? Well, around 2022, when people were leaving, we hired 6 people. 5 of them were graduates, straight out of AIE, and 1 was a veteran from another industry that we pulled over and brought to us. So we lost 4 people in 2 months to greener pastures. I'm happy to say that all 6 of these people are still with us at Foxie. Not only are they still with us at Foxie, they're actually kicking butt. They are thriving. They are doing so well. So we worked hard to make the grass greener on our side of the fence. We moved from regularly losing our mid and senior developers to retaining them. We now have 11 people at Foxie Games who have been with us for more than 5 years. That's a mind-blowing dream from a couple of years ago. I could not have hoped for for a better outcome. By addressing the needs and desires of our employees and aligning values and personal and professional goals, we created a dynamic workplace where people can express themselves, learn and grow, all while contributing towards the overall success of the company. Now, if we can do that, so can you. So go out and build your dream workplace. Thank you very much. I think we might be out of time, but if there are questions, we can try. 3 minutes.
Thanks, Stephen. Great presentation. I guess a question about sort of those extracurricular activities, whether the uptake is impacted by people who might have, like family commitments and things like that, because we've struggled with that with our team. Some people just can't hang around on a regular basis. How do you navigate that?
Great question. It's mixed. So some people do need to head home. This is where you got to know your team, right? So know what their commitments are and what works for them. So if you've got people who literally have to leave and catch a bus and head for miles away, do it at lunchtime, right? Take them out to the local pub at lunchtime. You're still just looking for that social dynamic where you're paying for their meal and you're saying, thank you very much, let's go out as a company. Yeah. Any others? Cool. Well, I have a whole bunch of goodies for people because I like fun things and promo things, but we might do that later, or come and find me at the Zola party tonight. One of the things we've got are some board games on the back of these cards, so come and have a chat. I'm super easy to find on LinkedIn. If you're a team leader or a production manager or someone that you want to connect in terms of games, find me, super easy. I would love to chat with you over the next couple of days. I'll be around for PAX 2. Thank you very much for coming, and thank you for participating in my craziness.